my children, my kids are 22 and 24 now. And so when I started 7 years ago, they were like, you need to be on Instagram, you need to do this. And I'm like, I don't even know what that stuff is.
Right.
You know, I know old lady Facebook, that's all I knew.
Yep.
And they told me to start posting interesting pictures and stuff like that. And so I decided that talking about the city of Richmond would be the most interesting thing.
And welcome to the next episode of the Unbiased Truth Podcast. I am Sid, and I'm here with a very special guest, and I will let her introduce herself.
Hi, I'm Jeanette Pulley with Jeanette Pulley Real Estate, brokered by Coach House, and I am your favorite residential realtor here in the Richmond, Virginia area.
That's right. So I know Jeanette through Facebook. This is actually the first time we've met in person.
So crazy.
I know. But we kind of, I don't know if you want to admit to it or not, but we kind of know some of the same people. You know.
I'll own them.
One of us has to.
Yeah, I know.
Jeff just called me right before he got here, just talking about TVs because, you know.
That's what boys do.
Yeah, that's what he does. So tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, I moved to Richmond in 1989 to go to VCU. You can do that math yourself. And I just love the city so much. I just couldn't leave. Raised a family here. I was married for 25 years. Recently moved back into the city from the suburbs of Midlothian. And I just love it. The changes that have happened in Richmond over the last 30 years are amazing. Our small businesses are taking off, you know, our restaurants, our breweries, everything around the city is just beautiful. It's expanding into the suburbs in such a good way that I love it here and I just can't leave.
Yeah, there's been a lot of breweries and wineries and stuff like that pop up over the last 5-10 years.
Yeah.
And it's really become a hub for craft beers and wine tours and things like that. And it's not in a like tacky cliche way.
No.
I mean, like it's really, you know, made a mark in that industry. Really been fun to see.
It is. And you know, for me from social media, I get lost every time I get in my car. And so I got lost yesterday. We were driving through Chester and I went the wrong way. And there's a new brewery in Chester. There's one in Midlothian. I mean, I love that they're in some of our outlying spots, not just all in the city.
Yeah. And
nice.
Me and Courtney both live in New Kent and we've got 4 wineries now.
Okay.
And one of them has opened up its brewery side of it. And there's another brewery in, I think like the, not Gloucester, King William area, Dragon Run Brewery.
You'll have to send me your favorite so I can do a little tour. So it's a good excuse to explore Richmond, not drink beer, it's just explore Richmond.
That's right. So what got you into real estate?
Well, my dad was a custom builder, so I grew up on a job site. Actually grew up in a job site because a contractor's house is never done.
That's right.
So I grew up with a hammer in my hand. I was an only child, did a lot of the house cleanup and stuff. Been a salesperson all my life. So when my oldest got into UVA, my youngest got her driver's license within a few days. So both my kids left the house at the same time. So for my own mental health, I had to have something big to do.
Yeah.
And I thought real estate would be the answer. I'd owned a small business in my home for about 20 years. That kept me at home with my kids.
Okay.
So I was able to take that sphere and that customer base and just turn it into real estate. So I was very fortunate. Very fortunate.
So you have quite the interesting social media engagement and whatnot. So when we had Blair on here, owner of Talking Monkey Media, he actually mentioned your Instagram profile and how you post and things like that. And it's something that we try to do as well. Just keep it interesting, right?
Yeah.
Because everybody posts the, 5 tips to prepare your home for winter and, stuff like that. But for the most part, you look at those posts and there's not a lot of engagement, and I've seen both realtors and home inspection companies, with far more followers than what we have, but they get zero engagement.
Right.
And it's just because they just post stuff that
pound out that business.
And what we have found is that from the home inspection side, people like seeing the weird, the crazy, the funny, not funny to the clients.
Just call me weird. I think you did.
No, I was talking about Courtney. She's going to some kind of conference. I won't tell you what kind of conference it is, but it's kind of weird.
We'll talk off.
Yeah, that's right. but they really like that, right? Yeah. They you know, like I said, it's not fun for the client sometimes, but it's fun for social media, and it's to the point where I'll tell people, you know, as I'm going over everything, I'll find something like that'll be on Facebook later this week.
Yes.
And I actually had an agent like 2 weeks ago when I said that, she said, yes. And I just kind of looked at her, she's like, I've been waiting to be on your Facebook page for a while. So, I mean, we're not Chick-fil-A over here with all the followers and stuff because, I mean, it's still home inspection.
We're working on it.
That's right. But you definitely got to get into that engagement of what do people want. Now, you can mix all that other stuff in, you know, and break it up and whatnot. But you can. You know, it was one of those easy days, right? Yeah. You don't feel like messing with it. You know, you can post stuff. But yeah, I think what you do on social media is key, especially in this shifting market because it keeps people engaged. You know? Yeah,
and it's fun. And I always say this, I cannot take credit for my Instagram following at all. No, it's not paid. I didn't pay people. Nor did I pay people. My children, my kids are 22 and 24 now. And so when I started 7 years ago, they were like, you need to be on Instagram, you need to do this. And I'm like, I don't even know what that stuff is. Right. You know, I know old lady Facebook, that's all I knew. Yep. And they told me to start posting interesting pictures and stuff like that. And so I decided that talking about the city of Richmond would be the most interesting thing, whether it was making fun of the lady who wears the lifesaver and has a parrot on her shoulder and drives through Carytown on her bike holding balloons, which I see her like once or twice a month, I feel like, or spotlighting a restaurant or a vendor or something like that. Just makes it so much easier. Yeah. And I found by doing that and highlighting the city, I never really highlight real estate. You will rarely see me talk about a real estate transaction on Instagram. But by highlighting the city, I got this following of people moving to Richmond. And I'll tell you, one of my favorite clients just showed up at one of my open houses all the way from Dallas, Texas one day. He's like, we met you on social media. We talked to you a little bit. We thought we'd surprise you here to see, you know, if you really are who you are on social media. And yes, you are just biggest dumbass we've ever met, and that's what we liked about you. So and I know they say it with affection, but I'm a blooper reel. I'm not afraid to make fun of myself. I feel like I'm so tired of seeing other people's highlights that sometimes we need to show a little reality. And my reality is I park bad and I cook bad. So
I was going to ask you how your Thanksgiving was because I didn't see any posts of.
Oh, you missed the deviled eggs.
Oh, I saw the deviled eggs.
Okay.
I saw that one, but I didn't see any posts of, you know, aftermath or fire trucks or anything like that.
No, my mom cooked. I made a cold 7-layer dip. And we did a Mexican Thanksgiving. So I couldn't burn anything.
No, I did see your crunchy deviled eggs.
They were a little crunchy.
They were. That's where all the nutrients are at.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to tell myself. So, but I got most of the shell off. It wasn't my fault.
That's right. Yeah. That's right. People really seem to like love Richmond, like more than I would consider a healthy amount. So like you go to other cities, whether it's down in the Hampton Roads area or Northern Virginia or just anywhere, but people really, really love Richmond.
You do.
Which is great for the stuff that you do on social media because it really gets people's attention and whatnot.
We're an hour and a half from DC, if you're lucky. An hour from the mountains to Charlottesville, an hour and a half to the beach. Like we can go anywhere that we want, and we're still that small southern town with some hospitality that you don't see. And I'm from Northern Virginia, that you don't see up there anymore. What's not to love? Yeah,
and it's really hard to think because, you know, over the last couple of years, a lot of people keep talking about, I guess I think we'll talk about it, but the list show, like, I don't know, top 10 desirable places or moving places, top 10 markets, whatever the category is. Right. Richmond seems to pop up in those top 10s. And it's easy to forget Richmond's not a large city. Yeah. You know, I know inspectors in Houston, and they're talking like they got 35 to 40,000 agents. You know, and like, well, by perspective, you know, we got, you know, 7 or 8,000. You know, so you know, that translates over into your population as well. Right. You know, it's representative of how many people that the industry can actually support and maintain. But I think that whole it's a pretty good niche to be in.
It is.
When you get that kind of following and you're selling yourself without selling yourself.
Right.
You know,
right.
Like say you're not constantly talking about real estate.
No.
You know.
And I always tell my clients, if you need the type of realtor that's going to wear a little business suit and carry a cute little handbag and, you know, has a little poodle tucked in and will quote statistics and numbers and stuff all day long, that's not me. Yeah. I'm all about, I need to get into your head. I need to know what you love. I need to know what you hate. I need to know just your whole emotional being, because then I can help you find the right place for you. And I'm just more of like, I always say I'm more of an emotional support animal type of realtor, because this, especially in this market with interest rates and inventory, blah, 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 all this bad news and all these people saying bad things about real estate, I'm here to help you through it because we've got to get it done.
Yeah.
You know, rates are bad, get a new rate in a couple of years. House isn't what you wanted because you got bumped down in price point. We'll get you a new one in a couple of years and make this a great little rental. Yeah. Like, I'm one of those annoying people that has to find the positive because if I go down the negative bunny hole, I'm not coming back out. So, so numbers and stuff are great, but numbers aren't going to get me in a house.
Yeah, and I listened to, it's now a podcast form, but it was a radio show, and it was a sports radio show, but they never talked about sports. It was great. And they always, the host always asked, he says, I always said, I always get asked, I want to do what you do. How do I break into the business? He says, do it differently. I mean, yes, you can have success doing it the same way everybody else has done it, because there's something to be said about that. But at the end of the day, you really want to stand out.
Yeah.
Do it differently.
Yeah.
And that's kind of how we approach it. Like you were asking, why we do all this stuff, because it's different,
yes.
Because no one else in the home inspection sphere is really doing this here. Now, there's a couple in other places that are doing podcasts and radio shows and whatnot, but very few or nobody's really doing it here at the local level, and that's what we try to do, is to help grow our presence and being recognized, because we're still a young company.
Right.
We don't have the luxury of being around for 10, 15, 25 years like some of the other ones. So we're still trying to reach as many agents as possible. And the goal was to do that before we shifted, which I think we did a pretty good job of, for the most part. Yeah. There's still some work to do.
There's always work to do.
Always work to do. But we've gone from not having to market, even though we were, to now it's a marketing strategy, heavy focus because of the shift, right? So we've been fortunate in the last couple months that we've still remained steady and whatnot, to where a lot of people have dropped off.
Right.
So... and I think we can contribute or attribute to a lot of that to just being different in our approach and marketing and social media and all that stuff.
Yeah, yeah. And I love it. I mean, do I run numbers? Absolutely. Do I find the statistics for your neighborhood? Absolutely. Yeah. But if it's not fun along the way, how do we even get to that point?
Exactly.
So my goal is to make this as fun and as stress-free as possible. I put out the fires that you don't even know about, as all realtors do. I mean, that's something all of us do. And the less my clients know about those fires, the better to me. Yeah. They don't need to know that I was crying until 3 a.m. and afraid to call you, and it all worked out by 6 a.m. It's such a great, fun job, and so many fun things happen. And fall down steps sometimes. Fell out the door of a front door of a house one day because I tumbled down the steps doing a live video and it went right through the door. But all kinds of fun things happen. You meet the funnest people. I love what I do. I love making them happy. I love calling them and following up in a couple of years to make sure they're still happy. Yeah. And I don't know, whatever I can do to improve their lives, because it's not just about the brick and mortar. It's about providing them the best vendors to call on later. It's about setting up the best date nights for them. It's about finding the best restaurants that they would love to support my friends in the community, because I have lived here so long. Yeah. And I want to support my small business, local business owners, nonprofits, educational opportunities, anything I can in the community. And that helps me because my clients keep coming back to me to be the resource. It helps my friends. It's nothing more exciting than seeing one of my friends' cars going, lettered vehicles going down the road, or their name on the real estate sign, or, up on a billboard. That's exciting to me.
Yeah, and that says a lot about how you conduct business, right? You know, like I said, we know a lot of the same people. You know, some good, some okay, yeah.
The peanut gallery.
That's right, but it's the networking part of it, right? It's you're surrounding yourself with people who are talking about you when you're not around, right? And it's refreshing because not everybody does that. You know, a lot of people get to the closing table and we're done. You know, well, who do you recommend for this? I don't know. Google it. You know, and versus you, and it's not even just industry specific. Like I said, you're pushing them towards restaurants and other things that are going on around town, and it helps to keep them engaged and it helps keep them where they want to be, right? Because if they don't know anything, then they're not going to stick around. You know, their next move is going to be someplace else, and while you may get that sell, you might not. You know, because you kind of drifted off and you're worried about everybody else. And
we call the orphan clients, the clients that their real estate agent put them in the house and they forget about them altogether. And I'm on the other side. I always joke, I'm going to find you a date night for your first anniversary of the house. And when the date night goes too well, I'll find you an OBGYN and then we'll sell you a bigger house because you need another bedroom.
That's right.
So, but yeah, I feel like that I always say full service realtors and I get a lot of snickers. So I'm changing it to full resource realtor.
That's right.
But to be able to provide my clients, like honestly, when my children were coming up through high school, they needed to do a lot of volunteer work. They were in Chesterfield County schools, needed to volunteer a certain amount of hours. They were in specialty programs, couldn't find anything.
Yeah.
So now I'm visiting a lot of different nonprofits trying to find opportunities for my clients' children. And for them, because it's really important to me that I always feel like the deeper we dig our roots into this community, the better we all are. So if you are really invested in helping a nonprofit that you love or finding an educational opportunity that would really make you a better person and find you a better job, then Richmond's just going to be a better and better place.
Yeah,
and we keep that small town feel.
Absolutely. And it's funny you're talking about how, you know, you put out fires, even the ones that clients don't know about. And I was at an inspection the other day, not too long ago, and
I can only imagine.
And the agent they were going through the inspection for the sellers or the buyers, but they were selling a home, right? Okay. And they put in the addendum, the repair addendum. They requested all pet droppings to be removed from the yard.
Oh.
And
I haven't had that one yet.
I laughed. I said, "That's just why you do what you do, and I do what I do." Because
okay, so did the realtor put that in, or a different home inspector put that in?
I think the realtor, because I looked at the inspection report, I didn't really see that in nor was it referenced. It was just at the bottom of the line items, and
yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah, it was pressure washing the house basically, and then that were the two added. Yeah.
Duty calls. Every time I see that truck, I always laugh. Duty calls.
Yeah. So it just made me laugh. And that's why you do what you do. And I do what I do.
Yeah.
And
And you just gotta laugh about it. You know, people are weird. I'm weird. We all have our little quirks.
Yeah. And, I mean, you never know. I mean, it's easy to be like, why would they ask for that? Well, you know, at some point, and I've seen it, my wife's a realtor, where the clients are just very adamant about this. Like, you know what, we'll put it in there, whatever. Yeah. You know? Yeah. Worst they can say is no.
Exactly. It doesn't hurt to ask. And I have told a couple of clients that we're not asking for that. Yeah. And I would have probably said that with the dog poop.
Yeah.
I would have gotten someone out there to clean up the dog poop and wouldn't have gone on the home inspection report. But
Right.
But yeah, what's important to people, you just don't know, and you don't know their reasons. So
exactly.
And that's why I like to get to know my clients. So when they tell me they want something ridiculous, I can be like, is this because of?
Yeah.
Because you're crazy.
Yeah. And I've seen it, and that's why we don't really emphasize one way or the other what we find, because everything is. I've seen where the entire foundation was like crumbling, and the lady asked me, "But did you see any mice?" No, I did not.
Cared about.
She said, "All right, we're good then." I'm like, are you sure? She says, "Yep." I said, "Fair enough. That's all she cared about. So I can handle everything else, but as long as I didn't see any mice." I said, "Okay.
All right.
And
her realtor should have sprinkled some like Jimmy's down there, some little chocolate Jimmy's. That, you know.
Right.
Yeah, foundations scare me.
Yeah. I did one just this morning, and the client asked me, and we've done a few together. He says, "You see anything interesting?" I said, "Yep." Came inside. I said, all those doors they're all kind of sloping like a fun house, but it's not a fun house, you know. And so
yeah. And like I said, I grew up on a construction site, so I know enough to be dangerous because I was there I had to tar the foundations and then I had cut trim. So like I know enough about houses.
And that's a great point because we do CE classes and we talk about in those classes about what are home inspections, and then other one is what to look for during showings, right? And always encourage agents. I said, learn, like pay attention to the inspector.
Absolutely,
right?
Absolutely.
It's not so much because I want you to be a home inspector, but it helps me when you have the ability to convey to the client, right? Because as you, I'm sure, are aware, we get blamed for a lot when things go sideways. Yes. And sometimes it's not us. Right. It's because the agent didn't have the ability to convey after we're gone, right? I mean, because I can tell you that this is, a cracked joist is an easy fix all day long.
But if I can't assure them of that.
Yeah. And that's kind of where some of these relationships go, right? Because, now it's, do I really trust a realtor? Do I trust a home inspector that the realtor recommended? Here's a contractor, call them, and they put your mind at ease as well, even without them having to come out. Right. So that's where those relationships are important, but it's important, like I said, I think for agents to really understand.
Yeah. Absolutely.
A little bit about what we're doing.
Yeah. Oh, no, absolutely. And I love it because I do learn something from every home inspection. I try not to be obnoxious, but if there's something I don't understand, I'm going to ask. Yeah. Because I need to be able to teach my client and then point it out in the next house to the next client that little crack above the door is no big deal. And the hole in the roof, we can fix that.
That's right.
And I'm not afraid to go on a roof. I'm not afraid to go in a crawl space. I wear my boots. I got a hard hat, if I need it for new construction. But and I learn something every time.
And because we give the report to you and the client, and then it goes to the agent, the seller's agent, and the seller, and then it goes to the contractor or whoever. And there's like 9 degrees of separation between us and who's doing the work, and there's often lost in translation. Right. And they're just getting a lot of times just a report. So it's nice to have somebody who can, again, explain those things adequately because, we go into a crawl space and I see some termite damage. The report, I may only have 2 or 3 photos in the report, because I don't have 3 hours to take pictures of everything, and some agents don't understand that. Yeah. Even though there was a time where we didn't do pictures and reports like that, some agents just don't understand that. So when they get to the contractor fixes the one picture. Right. And then I come back and there's like 9 other spots that was never touched. Right. Your report didn't say that.
Right.
Okay.
Yes, I didn't take a picture of every crack in the.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah. Right. I don't. No one wants to pay me for that kind of time, and nobody wants to sit there for that kind of time. So it's all representative, you know. So I think that's important, and that's a valuable. And I'll tell people all the time, when we're talking about hey, look, your clients are going to appreciate you more if you have an idea of what we're talking about, right? And because it's not even during the inspection, like I said, it's during the showings too, right. The door just doesn't quite close because, it's at a 45 and it's not supposed to be at a 45 degree, there may be some foundation issues here or whatever, are you prepared for that?
Yeah, and one of my favorite things is I am very loyal to my vendors and my contractors. They are very important to me. That relationship's very important. And it's very important because if I don't understand something and I'm going through a showing, I can call Bob Mancino at 360 Plumbing on his cell phone and say, hey, I need a question and I need it answered now. And he will answer me. Like if he is not knee deep in something gross, he'll answer me. Yeah. And I have a contractor I can send the whole home inspection report to and say, something's wrong here. And he can give me a good quote, good estimates. So those relationships, and when I can do that during a showing, my clients are like, wow, we've got something going on here. And it gives them the confidence to trust me because you are spending $200, $300, $400. You're spending the most money the bank will give you. Yeah. So if you don't have someone that you can trust, that even if I can't do the work, I can put you in the right direction. Yeah. Then it's important.
And you got a lot of people who they don't have those contacts, right? And not just the contacts, but I think a lot of times we forget that $400,000 is a lot of money, because I think in this industry you become numb to that, and then you break it down into monthly payments over 30 years, and it's like, your monthly payment's only $1,200, whatever. And I think we forget that whether it's 150,000 or a million, it's a lot of money to whoever's doing that.
Whoever's spending it.
And then you come full circle with the fact that if you don't have those contacts, if you're new, sure, because it takes time to develop those contacts. But if you've been around for a while and it's, well, we'll call somebody. Well, who are you going to call? We can get somebody out there versus, I can call this guy. I can call this company. I can call that company. We can get them out here. We can get a look at it. We can get an accurate quote. We can see if it's okay, if it's not okay, whatnot. And that stuff is scheduled before you even leave the property.
Right. And that's important because when I have a home inspection period, as you know, like if I write 10 days into the contract, I have 10 days to get every quote, everything imaginable together, and having those relationships with people that'll come out right away is super important.
Yeah, especially in the last couple of years where like periods were like 5 days, 3 days.
It's crazy fast right now. I'm so glad. I just sold a house to one of my neighbors, and I'm so happy for her. We've been looking for a year and a half, and not only did we go under ask price, and it was a fair ask price, but we got a home inspection and an appraisal.
Nice.
And we got repairs.
Nice.
Like this hasn't happened in like a year and a half. And all these cute little baby agents. They've never had to negotiate home inspections and appraisals. And I think it'll be a very interesting learning experience for them.
I've seen a couple ugly ones lately where the seller side was a newer agent that popped up over COVID. And not that there's anything wrong with that.
No, I mean,
but this was like their first negotiating. And it was hard. It was hard to watch, and because you have a seasoned agent on one end and a new agent who's just not comprehending what needs to be done. And
we need to support those. Like my daughter is a new agent. She's had her license for a year. I put her with Reed Wilson, one of my favorite realtors. She works with him. But she does call me and, Mom, I don't know what to do with this home inspector. I've never had to do this. And we need to support them. Like we all had to learn. Real estate school doesn't teach you anything.
No.
So we got to support them and let them figure it out.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
It's for the best of my client if it goes smoothly. So if I have to do the other side's a little bit of their job and it makes it better and we close, that's all that matters.
And I don't know if this is just this industry or if it's just because of my lack of being in other industries. But real estate in general, it's just a lot of mean people.
It can be. It can be.
And I mean that just not just realtors, like home inspectors. Like you go to these home inspection groups and a new guy asks a question and it's like, piranhas circling.
I think it's ego.
Yeah.
I think it's ego. Yeah. And I don't have any. I fall down a lot. So, I mean, you lose that. Yeah. But it's ego and it's ugly.
It is. And because you're right. We need to help newer people because if they make the industry look bad, it makes me look bad. Yeah, and there's already trust issues in this industry.
Oh gosh,
and so when you have agents that don't know what they're doing or need that help, it just makes it look that much worse.
Right.
So.
And I've always said, I don't see other agents as my competition.
No.
They're not. I don't have competition. They're my team members. Yeah. Our job is to get to the closing table, sign off that final piece of paper, and trade keys.
Yep.
That's my job. And if that means I have to work with someone I don't care for, I'm going to do the best that I can.
Yeah.
And make it as fun as I can and maybe buy them a bourbon at the end.
That's
maybe
right.
not. But I'm going to try. I'm going to try to get it to that point. That's important to me.
It is, and I kind of do the same thing. We just got a request earlier today for a ride along, and there's not a lot of people that do ride along inspections for people because they're training their competition.
Oh, a new inspector. I got it.
But I remember what that was like for me, and it's like trying to find somebody. And at the end of the day, I don't care if there's another 100 inspectors around here. They still have to duplicate what we do and how we do it. So I'm not, again, like you're not, the only time I care about what other people are doing is to see what the market is doing, basically. Like, are they busy or is this just me, or vice versa? Other than that, I don't care what they do, how they do it.
I mean, you might find your next best employee or business partner. You never know. Or, you might just make a new good friend.
Yeah.
So, and that's important.
Yeah, and it's as much as, it's fun to see in some of these mastermind groups, they post something that a home inspector put in the report or whatever, there's still a side that kind of hurts a little bit, you know.
Absolutely.
When you know that, like, that probably shouldn't have been there, you know, or whatever the case may be. So, again, you want to elevate the industry because you want people to take you seriously,
right?
You know, or see that they need you, you know, versus, you know, whatever Zillow is going to come out with to you know,
to compete against.
Yeah. So I agree. I think there needs to be a lot more mentoring in the industry. Again, that's agents, that's inspectors, that's appraisers, that's everybody that's associated with the industry, because it can be a little ruthless.
Yeah,
talking to some people.
You've got to take the ego out of it.
Yeah.
Clients don't understand when realtors buck up against each other. They try to bully each other. They try to play shark or bulldog. It doesn't make sense. Like, why make this world worse? Like, it's all about making it a little happier, like putting a little shiny bubble on it.
That's right.
That's my job.
So what have you changed from before to now, because the market started shifting about July? You know, so we kind of, I guess the word has been from an abundance to a skills-based market. So what have you changed with this?
I'm kind of one of those weirdos. Like, all these people want to talk to me about real estate, talk about the market shifting, talk about, you know, how interest rates are going up, so people aren't going to buy. So what are you going to do next year for a new job? And I live in a bubble. I live in a Jeanette shiny, glittery pink bubble. And I put my head down and I do the work. Yeah. I reach out to my clients. I text them. I stalk them on social media. I see they get a new kitten. I send them a little gift card to the dog store, or the cat store, I guess, in that case. But I just try to stay in touch. I try to network with I joined a new 212 group. I've been going out to way too many happy hours and gotten a lot of happy. But just really trying to keep my finger on the pulse of people. Because the more people I meet, the more people they introduce me to. And yes, we're going to talk about quality, but first I need that quantity. I need that quantity of introductions so people can see if they know, like, and trust me. Some people don't, and that's okay. I probably don't like them either.
That's right.
But I won't even get my feelings hurt. But the more people I meet, the busier I am. And I've noticed, I was talking about this with a couple of my friends, I kind of went into that little negative spiral at the beginning of 2022, which is not my personality at all. Got COVID a couple of times and just kind of started staying home. Yeah. And my business went like this. Yeah. So I made that change when for me, September 1st is always the new year. You know, school starts. I don't have kids at home anymore, but that's when I said, enough. You got to get out of this little funk that you're in. Go back to doing what you used to do on Instagram and social media. Go out and meet people. Go out and have breakfast and coffee. And my business is just all of a sudden just again. And it's all about me being me. Yeah. And that's what everybody has to do. Whatever you're best at, whether it's being goofy or statistical or analytical, go with that.
It's really easy to get trapped in that vacuum because I mean, it's happened to me. Get on the old Twitter face and go on these home inspector groups, and like 3 times a week someone asks, is everybody else slow? Right. And then, you know, one guy, like, I've only had 2 the entire month, you know, or my phone stopped ringing 3 months ago. And it's really easy to get in that vacuum and be like, you know, the sky is falling, and get into that funk, that depression, that anxiety, whatever you want to call it. And before you take a step back, like, you know what, we're doing okay. You know, it's not that bad.
Well, I'm a true believer. I know this is hokey, but I'm a true believer in affirmations. Like, if what you say out is going to happen. So when I was in that little spiral of negativity, that's what happened. And I guess it was by my own actions and mental health. But as soon as I started saying, it's all going to be okay. Yeah. We're going to sell 4 houses this month. This is what we're going to do. Yeah. And I'm saying this to my dog, and she's looking over my shoulder in the mirror while I talk to her about my mantras. And she's like, gosh, you're crazy. But it worked. You know, she and I are going to live a better life next month because we have so much business happening. Yeah,
absolutely. So, you know, especially during a time where, you know, traditionally it's slower. Yeah. You know, and then you do compound that with the interest rates. But I think, in my opinion, I am not an economist or a expert or anything of that nature. I spend my days in crawl spaces, trying not to eat stuff in there.
You don't. Yeah. That's important.
But I think, you know, I noticed an uptick for us the last couple of weeks. Even over the Thanksgiving week, we were fairly busy, given not just the time of year, but the holiday plus the interest rates. It's about people getting used to the fact that, you know, 3%'s gone.
And 6%'s not that
Exactly. And hopefully that's starting to kind of kick in.
Yeah.
That mentality, like, you know what, we're still okay.
And we don't have a choice. If you have to move, you have to move.
Yes.
So let's just make the best of it.
And I've always said that core life is at the core of every market anyways, because people get married, they get divorced, they have kids, they need to upsell, they need to downsize or upsize, downsize. They got to relocate for jobs.
They've got to go.
Yeah. And even though the industry was booming the last few years, you really got to look at numbers versus population.
Right.
That's still, yes, everybody was busy, but that's still a small percentage of the population that actually moved. So it's not like
mostly investors.
Yeah, because a lot of people look at, well, no one's going to sell their house when they got 2.5%. Okay, well, that's not everybody.
Right.
The whole world didn't move. Not the whole world didn't get 2.5%.
Right.
A very small percentage got that. And there's still a lot of people that are moving with 2.5%, 3% because of life. So that's where you got to go to that skills based and networking and all the stuff that you can do to stay in front of these people, because yes, there may be less, but that doesn't mean your numbers have to drop either.
And you also have to be encouraging. You have to be your client's biggest cheerleader.
Yeah.
Because I've had clients that they were pre-approved at 240. Now with interest rates, they're only at 210, and they're calling me in tears because we were looking at $240,000 houses, and now they've lost the bathroom, the garage, and a backyard.
Yeah.
And so they're heartbroken. So you really do have to coach them through that. That things are, you marry the house, you date the rate, you turn it into a rental later. I always say that. Turn this little tiny thing into a rental later, and you'll be thrilled. It's your kid's college education in 18 years.
And it doesn't matter if you think this is your forever home or not, because
it's not.
It's not. I've had clients that's on their like fourth or fifth forever home.
Yeah, it's not. It's not.
Because things change. Your need and your wants change.
Yeah.
So you may be happy living in Richmond right now, but in 5, 10, 15 years, you may want to live out in Goochland or Dinwiddie.
Why would you do that? Or New Kent.
Whoa.
No, one of my best friends, I just moved around to It's pretty out there.
Because there's no people. That's why.
I like people.
My wife thought she liked people too, and then we moved to New Kent and realized she's just like me.
Okay. I have a little place I go to on the weekends in the country that I like. To get away from the people after 10 happy hours over the week.
That's right. Yeah. That's right. But yeah, we've gone, like December's been, or going to be very busy. We got a ton of events lined up. The evenings stuff, the networking things and just low cost, high impact events for us. It doesn't cost us anything to go to a networking event or whatever, or things that's already part of whatever package that, the RARs, was it the installation ceremony or whatever, I've not gone to that before, but we'll probably go to that because they do a little sponsor shout out, so stuff like that.
Yeah, it's important.
Yeah.
You got to see people's faces. It's always fun when I meet someone who lives in my phone, and it's exciting. It's just, it's different. And when you put that face, then you have that relationship over anyone else they haven't met in person. Yeah. And even if it's not going to turn into a client or a transaction for me later, it turned into someone really great I can use to help one of my clients in the future.
Absolutely.
So,
and there's this, it's so funny as a home inspector, because I see it all the time, not necessarily with clients, but with like agents. Because you said it really well there, that just because you're not going to do business together doesn't mean you can't benefit and help each other. Because I'll go into an office and people who already have another home inspector, like they won't even make eye contact. It's like, it's like, look, I'm not trying to steal you away from anybody. We can still be friends. Believe it or not, I don't care if you use me or not. I mean,
another realtor,
right?
How dare you?
But it's just weird, And then after a while, they start, enough visits, and it's like, I'll get like 1 or 2 questions, and then, 3 or 4 questions, and then I'll get a text or an email, and it's like, yeah, you don't have to use me. We can still benefit from each other. I'll still help you out, or whatever. We can still be friends.
Yeah, I have a girlfriend who's used the same realtor 3 or 4 times since I've started. I don't know what she's doing. But she gives me all of her referral business. Any of her friends. She's like, this is my great friend, but she has this relationship. I don't want to step on those toes. It's not my thing. I want people who want me. Not feel like they have to use me. That's right. That's not fun.
It's not. And it creates additional friction, and a lot of people in the beginning, it's hard it hurts your feelings in the beginning, you know, and because you want your friends to use you, but it's very easy when they use somebody else that to get your feelings hurt, and sometimes it's a good thing. But another time it could lead to additional friction, you know, and whatnot.
Well, I'll say I ran I won't name the company, but I ran a small business out of my home for 20 years. I told you that. It was an MLM, multi-level marketing. And I don't even know where I was going with that. What were you talking about?
Friends.
Friends. Oh, yeah. And my friends did not like the product I was selling. And I was devastated. I'm home with a new baby, and I'm like, I'm trying to make some money so I don't have to get a real job.
Right.
And they wouldn't use it. So at that point, I said, I'm never going to give one of my friends a catalog. I'm never going to talk to them. I'm not going to give them any specials. They know what I do. If they want to buy it from me, they can. But I am not going to talk about this ever. And so when I started real estate, I went into it with that same mindset. Yeah. I'm not going to get my feelings hurt by my friends. Has it happened in the background?
Sure.
But in general, I cured myself of that 20 years ago, and I need you to work with the person you feel best about. And that's important. It better be me, but if it's not,
that's right. And it's an interesting dynamic when it first happens.
It is,
you know, because again, you do, even in the back of your mind. But one of my approaches is, whether it's a networking event or a social or just hanging out with friends, whatever, like, I don't ever bring up home inspections. Like, I can come to your office today, you know, and if we're sponsoring something, I'll do the whole spiel, whatever. But after that, like, if you don't want to talk about home inspections, like, I don't need to talk about home inspections. Like, I
don't need to talk about work 24/7.
Exactly. So you either want to use me or you don't.
Right.
You know, you want to give it a shot or you don't. And I'm cool either way. Like, but I'm not that guy. Like, hey, who's your home inspector? You know, well, look what I can do. You know, because it just seems fake to me.
Right.
And it's the equivalent of cold calling. You know, and not that there's anything wrong with cold calling, but you know, it's an invasion for some people. You know, and again, if you want to talk to me about it, we'll talk. But you know, we can also talk about whatever you want to talk.
Yeah. Let's build a real relationship, and then we can go to work.
Yeah.
Or you can call me tomorrow during business hours.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's
not that I really have business hours, but my pretend business hours.
That's right. So what's your thoughts going into 2023? Is that where we're heading? Right.
They told me out there it's November 28th already.
It is.
Oh my gosh.
Yep.
So my plan, like I said, put my head down, do the work. I am scouring houses. I'm looking for off-market properties for my clients. The problem is inventory. Even my people who want to sell are afraid they won't have anywhere to go. So my prediction is realtors have to get off their rumps. They have to stop riding this really easy wave that we've had. We're actually going to have to do the work in the listings. We're actually going to have to do the work with the buyers.
Yeah.
Just get ready and remember, if you're not new, remember what it was like to actually have to work for the money, and do it.
Yeah.
That's it. So my prediction is the interest rates are probably going to go up a little, maybe go down a little. Yeah. I don't think they're going to go anywhere far. I don't think they're going to go too much higher if they go higher. I think inventory is going to start happening because people are going to start forgetting about that 2-3%.
Yeah, I think so. And that's what I've said from the beginning since July. We got to get distance on that 2-3% and distance on that. Well, rates doubled. Okay. Well, sure, they doubled, but 3 to 6, not
but when I bought my first and second house, they were in the 5s and 6s.
Yeah.
And that was okay with us.
And they've dipped the last couple of weeks a little bit.
A little bit.
Now the rumor lately is that the Fed may start pulling back in January with their rate hikes. The bond market seems to have responded well lately to the inflation numbers and things like that. So, which has caused the rates to drop a touch. So I tend to agree that, whether they go up or down, I think it's going to be kind of a steady, kind of keep it close to home.
Yeah. And we just need to pull the plug. Like, if we could just start getting into action, we could correct the market ourselves.
Yeah.
And then you have to I have an arsenal of great lenders who have such variances in their product packages on what they can offer.
Yeah.
Like, let's get creative in financing. Let's get creative in this house. Let's find out if we can build an extra bathroom or half a garage stall or something for your workshop.
And there's some lenders that I've heard roll out programs that said they will refinance.
Yes. Yes.
I won't say for free because I don't want to, but
I will.
Okay, you probably know more about that.
That I actually have introduced to a couple of my clients because they say in a couple of years when the interest rates go down, don't fall out of your chair.
I know. See,
I'd have laughed. I'd have totally laughed. That they will refinance at no charge. And I'm sure there's something in there, but it's not going to be $5,000, $7,000.
Like the closing cost. Well,
Don't be afraid. Don't be afraid anymore.
Yeah.
We got to do it. I mean, you can pay 100% interest to a landlord, or you can pay 6% to the bank.
Yeah.
Your choice.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I heard a lender say that. I totally stole it. But it's so true.
Yeah.
I mean, rent. What are you getting out of rent? Except for maybe a cute maintenance man every once in a while, and they're not usually cute.
Maybe.
Right.
Maybe.
I said maybe.
Maybe.
Well, ours are really cute, but they're cute because they're friendly. But yeah, I mean, buy a house. Let's buy a house.
Let's do it. Let's go buy a house.
Sell some houses.
Well, I have no idea how long we've been going because I screwed up on the timer. It's been setting at 0 since I started.
I didn't even notice it. I'm so glad.
I know. So I have no idea how long we've been going. 45? All right. See?
Okay.
That wasn't too bad.
No, not too bad.
We didn't even have to make fun of Courtney to distract you for anything.
And she didn't give me any dirty looks or anything.
I know. She's really good at the dirty looks. So, but I appreciate you taking the time.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, thanks for coming in. This was fun.
Yeah.
And
appreciate it.
Yeah, we'll do it again sometime.
Absolutely. And we'll talk.
Awesome. Thanks.
Yeah.